Okay, let's get right into it. We talk a lot about climate change in these huge global terms, right? But what if one of the most powerful tools for change was already in your pocket? Today we're going to break down how really smart app design isn't just about cool tech. It's about intentionally rewiring our daily habits to build a more sustainable world, one tap at a time.
So why does this matter so much right now? Well, it kind of starts with this number, 72%. Get this, according to recent studies, that's how many young adults say they're affected by climate anxiety. And that's a really heavy feeling. It's that sense that the problem is just too big and that anything you do is too small to even matter. You want to help, but you're left with this one big question. Where do I even start?
And this is exactly where sustainable tech comes in. The whole point of these apps is to cut through all that noise and confusion. They're designed to give a direct, actionable answer to that one question, turning that feeling of being overwhelmed into something you can actually do.
So, these powerful apps don't just appear out of thin air, right? Nope. They're born from a super deliberate and strategic design process. So, let's pull back the curtain a little and look at the blueprint for how a good idea becomes a real tool for change.
This is the big question, the one every developer has to wrestle with. And it's so much more than just writing code. It's about getting into the weeds of human behavior and designing something that fits so perfectly into someone's life they barely notice it's there.
And it all starts with the basics, what they call the 5 Ws. Before they even think about colors or fonts, developers map this all out. What is this app actually for? Who are we building it for? Why does it even need to exist? What specific problem is it solving? And then, where and when will people be using it? This whole framework just ensures the final product is laser-focused and, actually useful.
And this is what you get when you nail those 5 Ws. This is the EcoTrack app. You can see right away, the what is clear, track your waste. The who is you, the regular shopper. The why is to tackle that feeling of helplessness we talked about. And the where and when, right there on your phone when you're at the grocery store. And notice how minimalist and clean that interface is? That is not an accident. That's a deliberate choice to make the sustainable option the easiest option.
Okay, but having a clean, easy-to-use design is really just step one. To create real, lasting change, these developers have to tap into something way deeper, the psychology of how our habits actually form. This is the secret sauce. This is what makes it all stick.
And look, here's the thing. The goal isn't just to get you to download an app. The real goal is to get you to use it in a way that builds new, positive habits that last. That's the huge difference between a fun little novelty and a legitimate tool for change.
So one of the biggest tools they use to do this is something called gamification. It's all about taking the stuff that makes video games so addictive, like earning points, unlocking badges, climbing a leaderboard, and applying it to real life. It's a clever way to tap into our natural desire to achieve things, to compete, and to get rewards. And you can see it in action everywhere. An app like Jewelbug basically turns saving energy into a game you play with your friends. EcoTrack gives you those little digital badges that feel so good to earn when you hit a new goal. And Forest, this one's brilliant. Your focused, phone-free time grows a virtual tree, and if you succeed, a real tree gets planted. It just makes doing the right thing feel fun.
But gamification is really just the hook. To build habits that are still there long after the novelty of a new badge wears off, designers have to work with the fundamental wiring of our brains.
This right here is the habit loop. Every single habit you have, good or bad, brushing your teeth, checking your phone, it all follows the same simple 3-step pattern. There's a trigger, or a cue, the action itself, the routine, and then a reward that tells your brain, hey, that was good, let's do that again. The smartest apps are built to create brand new loops, or even better, to hijack the ones you already have.
And one of the most clever ways they hijack those loops is with a strategy called habit stacking. So instead of trying to force a new habit out of nowhere, you just stack it on top of one you already do automatically. For example, the cue is finishing my morning coffee. The new routine is spend 2 minutes sorting my recycling. The old habit triggers the new one. It's genius, really.
Okay, so we've got the smart design, we've got the clever psychology, but all of this leads to the one question that really matters. Does any of this actually work? Do all these little clicks and taps on an app really add up to big, real-world change?
Well, the data says yes. A big yes. Get this. On average, people who actively use these apps reduce their personal carbon footprint by 23%. 23! And that's just in the first year.
And it's not just about the planet, it's also about your wallet. The same studies show that making these kinds of sustainable choices saves the average user around $400 a year. I mean, that's real money back in your pocket just for doing good.
But here's where it gets really, really powerful. Because a 23% reduction for one person is fantastic. But these apps allow millions of people to do it all at once. And when that happens, the scale of the impact, well, it just becomes staggering.
I mean, just look at these numbers. Ecosia users have planted over 150 million trees just by searching the web, something we all do every day. Forest users have planted over 1.5 million real trees by putting their phones down. And Too Good To Go has saved millions of meals from ending up in a landfill. That is the power of collective action, all kicked off by smart tech.
So, are you feeling inspired to jump in? The last piece of this puzzle is finding the right tool for you. Because, let's be honest, the best app in the world is useless if you don't use it, and you're only going to use it if it clicks with what actually motivates you.
And this little guide makes it super simple. If you're a competitive person who loves games and getting points, you got to try something like Julebug. If you're a data nerd who loves seeing charts and graphs of your progress, check out Oreko. If your passion is ethical shopping, Good On You is your go-to. And if you're all about connecting with your local community, an app like ShareWaste is perfect. There's literally a tool for every type of person.
And that really brings us to the final big thought here. What we're witnessing is this massive shift, where being sustainable stops being this extra thing you have to try to do, and instead just becomes a seamless part of our daily lives. So when sustainable action is baked right into the technology we already use every single day, it really makes you wonder, what's the limit to what we can do together? Is there even one?